Weekend. It's been raining all day.
Fine, thank you. How's your day?
Fine, my day's been great. My day's been great. It's been fantastic. And it's the month of September, and we all know in the sickle cell community that the month of September is the sickle cell awareness month. In the month, we focus our attention on everything sickle cell, from the first day of the month to the 30th day of the month. September is such a brilliant month for us in the sickle cell community. And so
That's
today
true.
again, you get that right? So
Yes, a
and so
lovely
today we
month.
yeah. And it's so fantastic that I'm born in this month. And our own General Simo is even born in this month. Can you see?
Yeah.
Woo! We've had a lot of activity in this month. In fact, on Monday, our sickle cell awareness drive is going down into Lagos State University, Lasu Ojo campus. We are batting there, we are betting there, and we are doing sickle cell awareness full time there. So, without further ado, today we are discussing be involved, strengthening policies for sickle cell disorder. Debbie, let me start with you. You don't live with sickle cell yourself, but I think practically in the last 2 years, you have seen more people living with sickle cell than any other person.
Sure.
How does
That's
it, how
very
does it
true.
feel? How does it feel doing that?
Well, I, for me, I think I would say it's a total different experience for me because I get to learn different things, learn their own perspective of life, and sometimes I know it's difficult to manage the crisis and all, but I think at first I used to be scared. Well, when I got used to it, I know like it will come when you least expect it, and you just have to keep calm and be yourself and help while you can.
Great, great. And I hope you are not tired of seeing us because
Why?
believe me.
I'm not tired yet. I'm still here.
All right, so let's bring up our guest. Let's bring up our guest.
Yes.
Debbie, please let's do this.
Okay.
Um, yes. And here they are. Here they are. Woo!
Welcome, guys.
Great, great, great. So Debbie,
Thank
can
you.
you do
Thank
the
you.
bio? So we start.
Okay. So we'll start with. Okay. Sorry. The graduate of psychology from Obafemi Awolowo University is a human rights activist, child protection specialist, handle cases of rape, defilement, domestic violences, and other abuses. Please let's make welcome Comrade Toyin Okalanwo. I hope I got the name correctly.
Yes, good
Hi,
evening,
Comrade
everyone.
Toyin.
Good evening.
Waklagogo.
Good
Gogo, you're
evening.
welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
I'm glad to be
evening.
here
Thank you.
again. And
So great to have
I
you.
happen
So
to
great to have
be
you.
not psychology, but sociology and anthropology.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Let me do Our Lady. Awodia Funke is a Nigerian poet, author, medical sociologist, social
Mm.
campaigner, and sickle cell advocate. She served as data officer under the Lagos State Health Volunteer Scheme for 6 years. Funke is the initiator of Safe Dreams Initiative, dedicated to sickle cell awareness and advocacy. She encourages poets to write poems that enlighten people, educate, and inspire people living with sickle cell. With great joy, with the poetic joy, can we welcome Funke?
Hi, Funke. Welcome.
You're welcome.
Funka, can we?
Thank you, babe.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. David Olasende is the man behind
Good
the lens at
evening.
the
It feels
CO
good to be here
Photography,
with you
a
guys.
photography and a videography agency, also a copy
Hey, yeah,
editor.
yeah.
David Olasende lives and thrives with sickle cell. Hi, David. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here once
Fun-
again.
Fantastic. Funka, you might need to increase the volume of your voice, please, so that we can hear you clearly. Is that fine? Funka, did you hear that? All right. I think Funka probably the network
It's
over there.
frozen. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So let's get into it. Over the course of this week, finally the eyes have it in our sickle cell
Mhm.
disorder bill. Even though we don't yet know what's, even though we don't yet know, and can you see the eyes have it really? The eyes have brought my life back.
That's good.
Yeah. So what that means is that we now have a sickle cell disorder bill. Whether we have read it or not, we have the bill. We are waiting for presidential assent. So after the assent, we can now talk about probably we want to make some edits or anything like that. We want to make amendments. But as it is in Nigeria, we can say we have a sickle cell disorder bill. And that's such a great time to discuss policies for people living
I
with
hope it's a
sickle
better.
cell disorder. So I'm going to ask, and I want every one of us to take a go at it. How important are policies to our everyday lives? David, Funke, Tony, can we that? Let's take a shot at that.
Um,
How important are policies to our everyday lives? You can use day-to-day examples.
and policies is a very key and integral part of day-to-day practices, if I can put it that way. Because if you don't have a policy, you go out of the rail, and you won't be guided. You just do whatever you like, and whatever people like also will also be meted on you, because there is no policy guiding and restricting. There is no indicator taking you to where you are going or letting you know what you need to achieve. So that is one thing about policy. It is regarded as a principle of action adopted or proposed by an organization, individual, or a nation, so to say. So it is a guide of principle that makes you to attain what you needed to achieve, so that you can separate um, your do's and your don'ts. Then it gives, if it's on the economical aspect of it, the policy leads you to how you achieve a good economy. If it's on health, how do we, make provision for people that falls ill or are having sickle cell disorder? How do we cater for them? And those that are also in the health sector, they also have a policy providing and guiding them in the interest of their profession. So policy is a very good um, ingredient of governance and day-to-day activities. I can put it that way.
Okay. David,
Yes. Okay, so policies, they are what we make us go in our endeavors. These are what makes life easy for us. And I'm going to streamline it to our own community, the sickle cell community. Now, over the years, as individuals and as corporate bodies, we've just been doing things in isolation according to every individual's wit. There is no guiding policy over the years, and because of that, we discovered that we've not been able to speak with one voice, speak in unison, speak in uniformity, and that's because there is no policy, there is no guiding principle. So I think it's very, very important that, I mean, because in this part of the world, you cannot relegate people living with sickle cell to the background. We are actually the most populated in the whole world. So it is, in fact, it is actually bizarre that up until this very moment, we don't even have an act yet. We don't even have a policy. So it's a good step in the right direction. I mean, that we are able to have this now, and that way, all the bodies that have been able to come together to fight the disorder, they will have something to look onto, something that will keep them going, and basically, it's just there will be no groping in the dark anymore. I think that's just
Yeah.
why policies are important. Thank you.
Fantastic. Funke, what's your take on that? Why are policies important to our lives? Funke, can you hear me?
I think she's frozen again, so she might
Oh,
probably
you
be
think so?
having
Okay.
issues. Okay.
All right, Debbie, you can take a go at the questions.
Okay, all right. David,
Yes.
can you share with us your personal experience in the hospital where you felt if there were standard procedures and processes, it would have helped some doctors to manage you
Policies
better?
are very important because
Okay,
as a society, yes, I can hear.
please continue. Continue.
Can you hear me?
Continue, Funke. Continue.
And I can hear you.
Yes, please continue. Continue.
I think she's having a back.
Yes, probably.
Okay, so should I go ahead with the question?
Yeah, David, please
Yes,
go ahead.
yes, you can.
All right. So, like I said earlier, we are the most populated in the world, and which means we would always have many hospital experiences, and not all doctors are hematologists. Hematologists are the ones that are the specialists who take care of those living with sickle cell and other blood-related diseases and disorders. Now, in a situation where there is a policy, you don't necessarily have to become a hematologist to
Okay,
take care
okay.
of.
One time, policies are very important because
Okay,
David, you
so let
can
me
go ahead.
continue.
Yes.
So you don't necessarily
it,
need a hematologist to
bad, and I
take
can
care
hear.
of
I can.
people living. Wow.
Funke, please just hold on. Hold on. All right. David, carry on.
Okay, so basically what I'm just trying to say is, for hospital experiences, for me personally, it's I have had various experiences in the hospital, and it is not a one size fits all experience. There is, for each admission, there is always a particular experience that comes with that admission. And sometimes you see some doctors that are really, really knowledgeable, while there are some that you actually even have to teach them in a subtle manner. Now, if there's a policy whereby everybody is carried along, both the caregivers, those in the medical line, and even those living with the disorder, you discover that it will make the work easy for both those giving care, or for those taking care of the people living with the disorder, and for those also
Yeah.
receiving the care. That way, there will be seamless operation in health, in hospital experiences. Also, um, there will be reduced trial and error, because the truth of the matter is we have a lot of doctors. And now I don't mean to disparage their professionalism, but we have a lot of them who really don't know much about this, despite the fact that we have a lot of cases. Now, with a policy on ground, we have a way of making these people know these things. Do you understand? Are you following me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
Okay, we have a way of allowing them to go through this policy to be able to take care of these individuals. And really, but at the end of the day, we discover that there will be a whole lot of difference, a whole lot of improvements in the care and in the Medicare and Medicaid for people living with sickle cell. So it's very, very important that these policies are in place. Not just even one policies, many policies, because there are a whole lot. It's quite voluminous. Talking about, there are a lot of issues that are embedded in the disorder. So it's not just one policy, a whole lot. It can never be it can never be exhaustible.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Thank you.
Funke, are you back now? Can you hear us clearly now?
I think she's still having some challenges with her network.
Okay, so can proceed to Okla.
Okay. All right. Okla, if you can hear
Yes,
me.
yes, I can
Okay.
hear you.
You're a child rights advocate. Are there some experience you had while growing up with sickle cell that
Uh,
made you go into advocacy?
yes, sincerely, when I was in primary school, and whenever it rains, you get it. Sometimes it won't even rain. I will just have that sharp pain. If you have been to a place around Ikoroduro, they call Owode
I can
Onirin.
hear you, but I don't think you
You
can hear me.
when
I
you see people
that's
beating
bad.
iron, using
Mm,
sledgehammer, panel beating, that was
yeah.
what was going on in my
Okay.
joints, as if the panel beaters are working on my
Okay.
joints in the bone. So there was this particular day I was going with my step brother, and the pain was so excruciating, and I was romancing every electricity pole from one pole to another. And that very day, one man just looked at me like this. Maybe he has been studying or observing me. He said, Ori, Kofelo Shuku ni o. Meaning, I didn't want to go to school. I was pretending. But he didn't really
Okay.
know the
Mm,
the kind of pain I was going through. I just
yeah.
looked at him like this, as if I should just give him sledgehammer. You get it? And most time, when I get to school, and I get referred to the health center. From health center, I will be back home.
Mm.
So that has been it. And most time when it rains, got beaten by rain. And then, you know, we crossing canals. That now that we have canals that are, they've done a kind of bridge over the canal. Then it was
Yes.
wooden bridge that we will pass through inside kind of black water.
Mm,
So we get soaked. That will also trigger the crisis. So it will be from school back to health center, back home.
Crisis. Yes.
So, and then really sensitization was so low, it's like nothing was happening. Even teachers, they don't empathize with you and feel like, so this is what the child is passing through. Is now that people go on net, they read, they cite examples, and now people are much more informed, even though the sensitization is still like in a process that needs to be scaled up. And
Yes.
looking at the policy, someone that have sickle cell disorder, you want then when you offend in the school, they will ask you to be knocking the ground. That ground that has sharp stones, you'll be knocking it. Or the teacher will ask you to stretch your hands forward. The back
Yeah.
of your hand will hit it with a ruler that has iron, kind of a thing. Ahead, doing all sorts of, you know, is an abuse really on someone that have sickle cell disorder. And someone with sickle cell disorder do not even need to compete, but you will ask everyone to do all these rigorous exercises. You will cut grasses. They will ask you to carry cutlass and hoe. They don't want to know if you have the strength or not. So all those things that would have stressed out, it acts as stressors to someone with sickle cell disorder. That is probably, easy for that person to have crisis. You may not have it immediately, maybe at night, or when you get home, the thing will just come like thief in the midnight and hold you down. So those are the kind of things that has happened, and still till now some of it are still happening, but we thank God,
Yeah.
people are getting more enlightened once they get to know, this is the health status of this child. I believe the parents will have to be called, unless we have a teacher that wants to be offensive with the law, want to have conflict with the law. And with this policy that is coming in place, that will surely be taken care of. The issue of stigma and discrimination will be taken care of. The health, care and nutrition will also be taken care of. So it should be all encompassing. Also, those that will have business with sickle cell disorder clients or patients, they should also have the knowledge, you know, with support of the government and the institution, and then also National Sickle Cell Center. They all need to be trained. It's not every doctor or physician that knows how to manage someone with sickle cell
That's
disorder, so that they
that's
don't get the person's iron increased.
yeah.
I know someone who went to a government hospital, really a general hospital. The physician that has attended to him knew quite well that this person is sickle cell, is a sickle cell disorder patient. And in the process of going to a pharmacy window, to go and cost, there is a costing window. The person there added a medication which has enough iron. That was not written by the person's consultant. So the money was also added. When it got to the pharmacist was now like, who put this and that kind of thing. So I just asked the person should go and do the photocopy of that prescription sheet for me, so that I can take it up from there. But the person knew quite well that automatically when I take such up, the person has graduated from the work. Oh, Musiganle Pony. So to save the man that did the costing, so he just avoided getting me a copy of that prescription sheet which he wrote. But the pharmacist later cancelled that medication and the amount he put it, just because he wanted to defraud a patient of about 2,000 naira or 2,500 naira. You now want to put his life at risk. So these are the kind of things that should be taken care of by the so-called policy. Even wrong diagnosis, wrong medication, and so on like that. If I'm not a sickle cell person, you now did genotype test for me and gave me a result that I have sickle cell disorder, that should be a jail term and a fine and compensation to
Mm,
that person that such
true,
result was given to. So
true,
those are the things that we also need to look out for in the so-called policy.
Mm.
true.
Great,
I
great, great.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Funke, if you can hear us now and you can see us clearly, can you do a thumbs up? Something like this.
Our network is
I think our network is really
network is turning on
bad.
you.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Okla, talking about your
Yes,
experience as a person
yes,
living with sickle cell,
yes,
your story, you came from that timid boy to this guy that is
yes,
now tough. What
yes. So
marked the difference? What happened? What transformed you? Is it still the same sickle cell crisis or what?
Yes, I can still
you
hear.
you see, in life there is always a stage of graduation,
I would have
so
loved
to
to
Okay.
talk
say.
about
I happen to be that boy that used to be like timid, calm. Even then, my father will say, "Oh, Rionche Nwe Nwe, you are doing sluggishly." You get it? And for the fact that I also even still assist him in the press, I carry loads of shipboards, papers, loads like that. Service his car, generator set, and so on like that. So I'll just when you now say, "Oshe, no, you are doing sluggishly," and kind of a thing, you know, it's a psychological abuse.
True.
But being the kind of person, if you are not yourself, really, you don't have that mind, you will continue to do sluggishly, and that no will follow you. But but at times those pictures used to come, and I feel like, omo, they don't abuse me tete oh. So I
Mm,
just feel like I have that heart and that mind of getting out of the shell. You get it? Be yourself and fight for yourself. That was
Yes.
just what got me, out of the shell. And whenever I fall sick, there was a time within a month or so. I, I think I went to the hospital like 6 to 10 times. One of his apprentices was like, yeah, is it only you? Why are you always going to the hospital? Kind of a thing. But the crisis was, the last time I think I got admitted in the hospital now should be like maybe 27 years ago or so. Still, even with my sickle cell, with my level of activism as a student union activist, it was when I had severe crisis that people got to know my colleagues. There's, so SS new kind of a thing. Even with that sickle cell disorder, I still terrorize the world. So it's just being bold. Still, I still know my limits. When I feel I
Mm,
need to rest, I will rest, because if you don't do that, definitely your bed will call you to rest at all costs. So
mm,
I know my limits. I don't overstress myself. So even though my work as a field person, in charge of rescue and referral, you know, as I yesterday, I was still at the police station on a case of a child. You get it? So, but I still manage myself, and the strength and agility is there. I can say I'm a very rugged and dogged person. So I just need to keep doing what I know how to do best. Sickle cell cannot set that boundary of me getting myself redundant. No,
mm.
no. I'm an active person, and we
An
I
active
also
activist.
yes, and also encouraging people. If I tell you now that I feel strong when when I'm able to achieve or manage a case as a case manager, I feel much better. There was a time I was so down, and I had this treatments. It was when I got I had injection, and when I got a call that there was a defilement somewhere, I just I got off there straight, and that I was out. It was as if I wasn't sick. So it's a mindset. I don't see myself as someone that has sickle cell and has to be, you know, be food dragging, and you feel sick. It's just that I must be on top of my game at every particular point in time. So people find it difficult, and sometimes they don't believe me until I bring out my ID card and see I'm SS true. They'll say, eh? Even on admission bed, my consultant then said you are too active. So we just need to get to keep the ball rolling. So that is it. We need to keep the ball rolling.
Hi, Funke. Can you hear us? Yeah, I think she's still having a serious network issue. So we'll just continue.
Okay, so Debbie, you can continue. Probably
Okay.
when our network is yes.
Okay. Okla, so some people feel that by merely formulating a law that criminalize relationship that leads to children with sickle cell, we could end sickle cell. How easy is that? Would you want to share some light?
It won't be that easy. You see, in the Human Rights Charter, we have freedom of religion, freedom of association. So people that are informed, that have informed decision to make. If you know you are SS or you are carrying the sickle cell trait, you still want to go and get married to someone with maybe AS, the choice is yours. But the fact is that you'll be adding more stress to the burden on ground. That means we'll have more people living with sickle cell if that child is born. For the father, is the chance of is high. You get it. So if
Yes.
we get it criminalized, it will be like tampering on the person's rights. Someone that wants to, you know the right thing to do, and you still want to go and do the wrong thing. So you should be able to just face the consequence. Because if you have that child and there is need for you to take care of such child medically, I know you won't come to me to come and collect the money. The money have to come from the parents' pockets. So criminalizing it, that they should not go ahead, it will be like a kind of human right abuse, because now love used to hold and tie people's eyes. They will not see until when the deed is done. So for me, I won't see that as being achievable, either in short or long term process. So that's my thought on that criminalizing. But we can always put a check. And the fact is that when people have when we have a very good health policy and health insurance that can as well take care of getting to know the genotype of this unborn child, I think it will go a long way. Because someone that have not eaten maybe last night dinner, the Coro has helped many people now because of the lockdown and post-Coro syndrome. Many people have stopped eating 3 times in a day now. either once or twice because of the economic situation. And such a person that do not even does not really feed the family very well will now go and carry hundreds of thousands of naira to go and do one particular test
First.
for a child that is yet to be born. Wo file jare tó bá dẹ̀ dé àmà yanjú ẹ̀, the person will just conclude, let the child, without knowing that such a child is probably coming to face the war of the unknown, because it is every day that we fight our own war, and that is why we are warriors. We live today,
Mm.
and if tomorrow comes, so be it. Then we continue the fight the following day. That is just it. So the
And tomorrow will come, Okla.
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Your
So
people here, if you look at the comment section, your people here, they can
yes,
remember it from way back. I hope you can see
yes,
that.
really,
Yeah, so
yes,
David, let me take it from where Okla stopped. Now, Okla said we can't,
Yes.
criminalizing would not work. And then I remember that one of the things that were mentioned in sickle cell bill that we said that have just been passed, which some of our people actually raised concerns about at the public hearing, was the fact that
Yeah.
they said that if we don't criminalize this relationship and you eventually marry, probably AS married AS, and they eventually have a child that has sickle cell, that the law will not allow them take care of the child that was born with sickle cell in such a relationship. Do you feel that's right? What do you think about such a situation, David?
It's all about that dash. You see, the thing is this, and I want to go in line with what Okla said. You cannot you cannot impede man's right to associate.
Yeah.
Every man should be able to face the consequences of his decision. Now, I'm learned enough to understand that I'm not supposed to get entangled with somebody who is not compatible with me genotype wise. But for those who don't know that, it is the government's responsibility and also the NGOs' responsibility to educate these people. And I think this is where genetic counseling is very, very important. It says counseling, not genetic commander.
Mm.
You can only counsel, you cannot command, you cannot order.
You can't force
Because
your options on them.
by the time you begin to order and command, it means you are stifling somebody's right to associate. I can decide to get married to whoever the person is, whether the genotype is compatible or not. I should be ready to face the music. Now, what the government should do basically is to continue to sensitize and educate. I mean, it's just like what's going on presently with the vaccination. Let me digress to that aspect. Now, some governments, when I say government of the world, state governments, national governments, some of them are trying to force their citizens to get vaccinated. But again, it's my right. I can decide not to. You shouldn't force it on me. If I eventually, not me, if whoever refuses to get vaccinated dies of the virus, well, that's the consequence he has to pay for not getting vaccinated. But you can't clamp down on people and say, if you don't do this, then you cannot get this. That's wrong. So I totally disagree with the fact that you should then stifle people's relationship or right to associate. Rather, continue to sensitize, continue to educate people so that they can make decisions that will not alter their own future or that will not alter the lives of other people around them. So that's it basically.
Yummy.
Hello.
I think he is frozen as well. So I think there are times where you don't force your options on people. You could give your little advice. It's up to them to make the other decisions. I think 80% of the decision still lies on the person. So there are times where it's easy for us to say, but in the end, when two people get into a relationship, you don't tell them, oh, I feel or I think you shouldn't get married to this person, probably because the person lives with sickle cell. Now you would just give your own advice of this is what the consequences might be if
Mm.
eventually get into if eventually it leads to marriage. Are you willing to stand all through the end without making any excuse of you want to back out? So sometimes we need to really think about these things. It's difficult for you to just impose your options on people. Let them have their own say. It's their take on it.
True, I agree with you on that completely. And I mean, that's what makes us mankind. You know, the ability for everybody to to be able to take certain decisions on your own without being cajoled or without being trampled upon. That's what really makes you a man, and that's what makes you a free moral agent. You know. Now, because at the end of the day, once you take your decisions, you should be able to stand by the decision you've made and bear the consequences. Anything outside that, then we are no more human beings. We are just probably animals that are being controlled with a leash, you know. So it shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be so.
Yeah, Funke, I hope you can hear us clearly now. Your network is fine now.
Funke, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been
Great,
challenging with
great.
network here. And
Yeah.
I'll quickly want to say this. I have enjoyed every bit of the conversation going on, despite the fact that it was difficult for me to contribute. I'll quickly want to say this, if you can still hear me, that first, I want to see a government that is committed to strengthening education, sickle cell awareness education. What I mean is this: when you are committed to a cause, you will be committed to awareness and education with sincerity. We'll start from the grassroots, starting from educating parents and parents to be. For example, what if we have in our curriculum, in our educational curriculum, what sickle cell is, whereby we can start teaching children from a younger age till they become
Yeah,
adults. And also, I
yes.
want to
Yes.
see a policy whereby the government is looking at people who are already living with sickle cell. Yes, government might not be able to give all care, free care, but there should be subsidized payment for treatment. It's achievable. These are the things
True.
that I have in mind. Working with in the school, policy whereby schools are carried along and they know that, oh, this child might have to drink a lot of water while in the classroom, and if you drink a lot
Mm.
of water, you'll be given the opportunity to excuse yourself from being looked upon as someone who is abnormal. Those are the kind of things I think policies can do. Because when we think about curbing sickle cell, we should also think the people who are already living with sickle cell. That's my contribution for now.
Mm. Nice.
Okay. Thank you. So Funke, I'll quickly just ask you some few questions. Tell us about your drive for sickle cell. Can you just share your experience with us?
Please, can you say that again?
Can you share your experience with us about your drive for sickle cell?
Too bad. I can't hear you properly.
Hmm. Can you hear me?
The last thing I could hear is sickle cell. I could not hear what you said before that.
Okay. Tell us about your drive for sickle cell.
No, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Wow.
Whoa. I think she's really having serious network issue. Okay. Can you share your experience with us about your drive for sickle cell? What made you go into
I
advocacy?
should tell you about.
Your drive for sickle cell.
She can't hear us. So
Yes, I think
network
she's
is really
really
bad on
having.
that end. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
ta- talking about experiences. I'm not a warrior, but but my experiences with sickle cell with family members and friends make properly.
Okay, David, I think we'll just have to
I
continue
might have
since
to
she's
leave the
having.
platform and try to reconnect.
Okay, so what's the question again?
So there's
I,
this
I,
battle.
I, okay, I'm
There's this
listening.
battle about eradicate or reduce. Do you think it's practically possible to achieve that?
That, you see, that this particular question you asked, even me myself, I keep asking myself this question from time to time that can it really be possible? But the truth of the matter
Yeah.
is, with my over 3 decades of living with sickle cell and seeing things around me, I mean, sometimes we're able to judge matters with what happens around us. It's almost impossible to eradicate it. Just was it today is Saturday? On Thursday, I was with a friend and we were talking about a mutual friend of ours who got involved with a lady and he didn't do the necessary genotype testing and all that. And this is somebody that is definitely aware of the fact that before you get serious in a relationship with somebody, you need to know the genotype of that person. And in this climb where you can do five lab tests and you can come out with 5 different results.
Yeah.
So you have to keep sometimes the fault may not necessarily come from you, it may come from the medical lab. Now what do you do? For some people who have the financial strength, you keep doing the test just to ascertain that look, this thing is what it says it is. Now these are the little limitations where eradicating the disorder may be impossible. That's one aspect. Another aspect is the aspect of deliberate ignorance. Now, why did I use the phrase deliberate ignorance? Some people are actually aware that there is what you call genotype incompatibility. But just like what Oklabutu said earlier on, that love blinds the eye, and because of that, you push reasoning to the background, and just you don't follow. Which is nice. You don't follow your head or you don't follow your heart. One of the two. But there's a conflict in interest here. Now, at the end of the day, you get involved. You are not genotype compatible. You
Yeah.
procreate and you bring in more sickle cell gene. That's another aspect. Another aspect is the lack of policy too, because again, like we said, if in that policy we could make it a surety that for every child coming into the world, there must be newborn screening. And it helps a lot. It can help a lot in reducing. But how far have we gone over the years? Like I said, looking at what has been happening around us, how far have we been able to use the information we have at hand to eradicate or to reduce? Again, it still boils down to continuous sensitization. I mean, we cannot be satisfied. We cannot get to a point and say, yes, we've arrived. Hence, there's no need for further awareness and sensitization. It has to continue. It has to continue because the truth of the matter is we still have high level of illiteracy in our land. And I mean, even educated people today still commit this blunder. How much more those that are not well to do? So it's going to really be an arduous task for us to say this thing is going to be eradicated. It won't be, probably not in this generation. Probably not in this generation. Because even in civilized lives and the developed world, they are still researching and still trying to stop it over there. And they've not been able to do that. How much more in this our own plan where we do things nonchalantly and we just do things based on happenstance and all that. So we really have a lot of work to do in ensuring that we can only reduce but not eradicating might not be in this lifetime. That's just what I have to say.
Talking about eradicating, Marianne Sama on our Facebook is saying about eradicating sickle cell. It surprised me when I see people still posting in our support groups concerning a 1-month-old baby diagnosed with sickle cell disorder. Is it that these people haven't heard anything about this disorder? Funke, please can you answer Marianne?
I think Kuka is still having her network issues.
Okay. But
So
David, what do you
if
think? What do you
Okla
think
can
is
just
responsible for like that?
Well, it's still back to what I said earlier on. Sometimes we are just unnecessarily ignorant. We choose to be ignorant. Sometimes we know the right thing to do, but we are just emotional about making decisions. And that is why you will still see babies, 1 month or 2-month-old babies living with sickle cell. Sometimes you look at the parents that procreated these children, they are educated. So would you say in the year 2021, these people are not aware, but they just choose to be ignorant? So it's really an unfortunate scenario, but that's what goes on really. Because I mean, nobody can. It's just talking about HIV/AIDS. We have people still contact HIV/AIDS through sexual intercourse. Will they say they are not aware that this partner they are having affair with may be infected, despite the fact that it might not be your spouse, but they still go ahead? So that is deliberate ignorance. At the end of the day, it boils down to the individual. What do you choose to do? Do you choose to be responsible? Now, do you choose to take certain decisions that at the end of the day, the consequence will not only affect you, but it can serve as a boomerang to the society? But some people don't give a damn. They don't care. They don't care. So that's exactly what is going on with sickle cell disorder. That we still see children, newborn babies with the disorder. It's quite unfortunate. It's just because some people are not responsible enough to do the right thing.
All right, Debbie, do you have any question for our guest? I think this is an
yes. So I
exhaustive.
think okay, having the policy is a good thing, but do you think when it's not being communicated properly, do you think people will listen to it? Because half of the time people don't understand these things. There are people who still don't believe sickle cell is something you should be worried about. Now you have the policy, but when you don't communicate, when you don't explain it to a layman understanding, it's difficult for them to sort of have, like, it's difficult for them to follow the rules.
To
So would you
understand.
want to blame them? Because in a way it's written down there, but when you don't explain it, you don't really sit them down and make them understand there's a big consequences to these things, yeah. But when you don't follow the rules, this is what will follow, this is what you get, and at the end of the day it might become a major challenge to you. So would you want to say you will blame them for not adhering to the policy, or probably because they don't understand what it is?
Okay, I think it's a two-way thing. The the policymakers, they are the ones that it is their responsibility to encode. Now, the people, it is how they encode that will make people decode. Now, what do I mean? It's a two-way thing. I could say something to you, and you will not even understand what I'm talking about. You will not comprehend. It is now your own fault that you've not been able to pass this message well. Now, if you spend time and resources to formulate a policy, and the policy is incomprehensible, you cannot understand it. It is now the failure and the fault of the policymakers, because it doesn't make sense for you to make a policy and it is not understood by the people. It is the responsibility of the policymakers to ensure that there is complete and holistic understanding and comprehension of this policy. When again, back to HIV, when HIV came out in the 80s, the most common slogan that Nigerians knew was as good as up NEPA. That slogan was AIDS no dey show for face. That one sentence in pidgin till today, it still reverberates lots of information that sticks to the psyche. We need to have such phrase and such catchphrase for the sickle cell community. As we have AIDS no dey show for face that has transcended generations, we need to have a catchphrase that this policy, that is probably maybe an encyclopedia of words, should be summarized in one catchphrase that when a child hears it, he understands it. When a middle-aged man hears it, he understands it. When an elderly man hears it, he understands it. Now, if that is well done, honestly, if that is well done, the people will carry it along. I'm not also exonerating the people, because again, like I said, some people just choose to be, permit me to use the word, choose to be stupid. That even when you hear AIDS no dey show for face, you will still not protect yourself and you will have unprotected sex, and you know the outcome. But again, in that case, you will know this one is just an individual that is ready to face the consequences of his action. But you are not going to limit it to just one person.
All right,
What?
let me take it from there. Now, you've
Okay.
raised the issue of a catchphrase. Now I'm giving you an assignment. You are a copy editor. Funke here is a poet. So I want you to go and develop a catchphrase like "AIDS no dey show for face" for sickle cell. Something that we will never
Okay.
forget. That's an assignment from
Okay.
today. Is that
And we
fine?
hope our policymakers will accept it.
Debbie, eyes tonight. Is that true?
You
Yami
said?
said what?
The eyes have it tonight.
Yes, so
Yes, so
the eyes have
all
it
right.
tonight.
So before we
Okay.
I,
close,
I
before
think
we close,
I
okay.
can just chip in what can possibly assist both government and non-government stakeholders. You see, now a policy is coming into being. What is the duty of the National Orientation Agency? You
Mm.
get it? They
Mm.
should also be
Mm.
saddled to
Yes.
network with the grassroots so that
Mm.
this message can get down to the grassroots. At the grassroots, we have the CDA, Community Development Association. We have
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Community Development Committee that comprises of the chairman, secretary, and treasurers of all the CDAs. We have the National Youth Council. We have the
Mm.
labor, the artisan, the non-governmental organization, community-based
Mm.
organization, and we
Mm.
have committees that have
Mm.
link with the public health centers and the general hospitals, which are the World Health Committees. These are community
Mm.
people. Oh. We also
Mm.
have World Development Committee that was set up before the World Health Committee. We have the Social Mobilization Committees that comprises of the Bale, the Oba,
Mm.
the TBA, and every other stakeholders. And in the Social Mobilization Committee, we also have the so-called CDCs embedded in it. We have the health workers. So if everyone, you should know where your work starts and where it ends. Everyone is we're all on same page. We get to know about the policy. Government will just have to make the fund available. You train these people,
Okay.
since let the message be cascaded to them so that they can
Mm.
take it back to the community. Then the health
Great.
workers, they should be trained and retrained, because most of our health workers, sincerely, some of them, they have this what we call mouth diarrhea. They can abuse. When someone in pain gets to there, like Oshewan Shebi Kinibai, they bring you down, and you know this person is having sickle cell disorder. Maybe they are trained to abuse. Only God knows. If you go and retrain them, they will come back to it again. I've witnessed
Okay,
such.
Clara. Let's leave it there tonight. Let's leave it there tonight. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for that. And I think you are a community person. You are going to help us push this. Once we have the bill, you are going to help us push it to the communities. We are going to talk about it. How are we going to break it down? Probably use
Okay.
Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, whatever, all the languages in Nigeria
Y-
to make this happen.
yes, we call
Debbie,
them minority communities.
yes, Debbie, we've had a wonderful show today. Can you close? Can you say thank you to our guest?
Um, okay. Can you guys please give your final words for today so that what's your advice for people out there watching?
Be
My
responsible. Be responsible for yourself and for the community.
Be
Then
responsible. Mm.
don't compound the sickle cell issues.
Compound the sickle cell issues. Funke, can we hear from you? All right, Debbie, please, you can close.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you for your time. Thank you, David. Thank you, Funke. Thank you, Okla. Thank you for your beautiful them. And thank you
The
for all.
pleasure is mine.
Thank you.
Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone watching on YouTube and on Facebook. Really appreciate your concern and your support. This is a production of Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative. You can follow us on all our social media handles on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube at Sammy Updates. On YouTube is Sammy Updates TV. We'll see you next time and God bless you. Have a lovely week ahead.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.